Thank you all very much for taking the time out of your day to attend this call and get caught up on what's been going on. We've been doing a lot of stuff with technology to help some communication within the region and get some new tools out there. The first things I'm going to talk about, Jim already mentioned, our working groups that are out there. The working groups were easy targets because we've identified an audience that may need some help with some things. So the Eastern Spotted-Winged Drosophila group, we started out by helping them with Basecamp. Basecamp is an online program that integrates really well with email to allow the group to have conversations and discuss topics that are coming up, set to-dos, and kind of set their objectives for what they're planning to do. They've been using Basecamp a lot to coordinate their grants, their trapping programs, their lure development, and what they're looking at for the coming field season so that the working group can really move on and develop. They've had some 26-odd discussions with about 173 posts just discussing various topics that have come up. Initial feedback I've heard from that is it's another listserv. Yes, that does come into it, but some people have kind of liked the fact that you can go online at any time and search back through all the posts that have been there. So if you haven't really been paying attention to what's going on, you can see the history of what's been discussed. We've also been doing trap catch data recording into one of our systems here so that as they get trap catch data for Spotted-Winged Drosophila, it can be entered in, and it's actually updating distribution maps and graphs of that data online automatically as they enter it in. They've given some critique on how they want those maps and graphs to function, and we've managed to get those up and available for them to use and share that information pretty much in real time, or as in real time as they want to enter the data. We've also been working with the Western Spotted-Winged Drosophila group. The two groups do talk to each other, working with data, a different set of maps for them because of a bit different situation for how they deal with the pest, and also a different way of visualizing that data. So we've served as a bit of a hub between the two so they can actually have some of the discussions together about what to do about Spotted-Winged Drosophila. Kudzu bug is one of the other main groups we've been working with. We set up the site, kudzubug.org. You're all welcome to go to it on your own. The main thing we wanted to put up there was some basic information about kudzu bug, a map of where the current distribution is, and provide a method for people to report kudzu bug, either through the online reporting form or through a smartphone app known as SEDEN, the Southeast Early Detection Network app. That's been actually working out very, very well. They've had about 384 reports this year, and last year they had 227. So with this year not being over yet, we've already exceeded the number of reports coming in. The nice thing about that has been that the reports all get funneled to Wayne Gardner at Georgia, who has been put in charge of managing that data. And for him to update the map, all he has to do is verify the report. And the system automatically looks at the data that's in there, uses it, and updates the map in pretty close to real time. So a little simplification of his workflow to get things done. Next slide. You're going to hear a whole lot more about the Small Farms Working Group here in a little bit from Henry. I've been interacting with them because trying to get them some technology they need to serve the underserved small farms in the region. They are also beginning to use Basecamp to facilitate their discussions and kind of set their priorities for what the group wants to work on. And I've also been advising them on technology, that they have some things they want to look into, like scouting reports in the season, setting up manuals for low input fruit production or other topics for pest management, and what are the best ways to set that up, get interaction. Are we putting that material up as the Sage on the Stage productions, or are we having a forum where it's more of a discussion? So based on their input, we're trying to figure out what will work best for them If there's already a solution that exists that we can utilize, something like e-extension, wonderful. If that doesn't meet the needs of the group, then we figure out where that's going to go. Internally within the Southern IPM Center, we are also using Basecamp to support a lot of the projects that are going on. It's helped us have some better communication within our group with a history of who's been working on what and where discussions have gone. We've also been using it for a number of other projects, such as pesticide education, focused around watermelon and cilantro, and the Find a Plant project, talking about building a database of plant material that you could plant in your region that would actually be applicable in your landscape and hopefully pest-free, not invasive, or at least reduce pest issues. So it's helped those groups help coordinate some of what they're working on. We've also been working with hosting the GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar solutions for having online meetings, trying to reduce some of the travel that's required and allow people to actually see the same thing when they're trying to have some meetings. Pretty much anyone in the region who is in one of our working groups or said, can we please use this because I don't have an account but we'd like to, we go ahead and set it up and work with them to get that done. We have a variety of other efforts that have come up that don't fit neatly into any particular package. One of the first one was working with Virginia and their ag alerts. Ames Herbert approached me and said, you said facilitation of innovation through technology open to anybody. I'm anybody. So what can we do here? So we started looking at some of his needs for he had brown marmorated stink bug data that he wanted maps of to show progression of it throughout the season in terms of his trapping counts. We worked with him to get that up, and we're currently working on a new system for their ag alerts to improve what he currently has and improve some of the robust nature of it. So he has more tools available for notifying farmers and other stakeholders about the latest pest issues or what they should be looking for out there in the field. That actually led us into working with more of the brown marmorated stink bug group, talking to the folks over at Penn State and Rutgers. Even though they're out of the region, they do have data applicable to the region, and brown marmorated stink bug doesn't pay attention to where the border is. So we've been working with them to get some observation data aggregated from the various people who have it, get the maps up, and also provide some reporting. I've mentioned briefly the Find a Plant group that's been working on developing some of those online resources, mainly been talking about the advice about how different systems could work together to be able to actually get different information sources, people who have built keys on what plants work in what areas, lists of approved plants, how all of that can actually be worked together so that we have a cohesive system pulling off multiple information sources. The School IPM ID Guide app, we've discussed doing that. We're still waiting on some approval for content use, but once that comes through, we're pretty confident that that guide that was put together by Auburn, by LSU, and a variety of other institutions through the School IPM working group would be able to be put out as a smartphone app with additional images, and it would just be freely available for use. Next slide. Next slide. Did you fall asleep, Jim?
Yeah, keep talking.
Jim?
Joe, go ahead. I'll start. Did you have? Jim.
He's down the hall. Keep talking.
Okay. As many of you are aware, one of the reasons that we started working with technology in the Southern IPM Center is because of what we brought with us from the Bugwood systems. We have the Bugwood Image Database, which many of you are aware of. It has, pardon me while I pull, it has 205,000 images currently available in it, covering about 19, almost 20,000 subjects from about 2,000 photographers. We've been working to broaden out some of the coverage of that to commodities and issues affecting the southern region. And we've also been enhancing some of the technology behind it, that the images are now hosted off of Amazon's simple storage service, so that if something bad were to happen to Tifton, Georgia, the content is still available for people to reach, and that makes it more useful for them to actually integrate into existing online resources and knowing that it's going to be available for use. Amazon has a whole lot more IT infrastructure available to them than the University of Georgia. We also have EdMaps, the Early Detection and Distribution Mapping System, which currently has about 2.2 million occurrence records in it. Out of that, about 1.2 million of that is point records for where different species have been located. Through the different smartphone apps that are available in online reporting, about 26,000 reports have been entered in 2013, and the year is not quite over yet. It's been very handy for dealing with some of the mapping and other things that we actually want to be able to do, because we have a data source that's available, people bring data into it, we validate the data and make it available for others to use. The Bugwood Wiki still exists and is still up and running. It currently contains about 1,400 articles on various pests and issues in the region, as well as hosting the Diagnostician's Cookbook for diagnosticians to have a manual of medias and technical procedures that are available to them. One thing we have done is use the content from the wiki to populate smartphone apps. This has made it possible to let us have other people contribute information and edit articles on their own time without having to go into another system to work on things. It's allowed us really to do a nice job of reusing content that's available. We've also been using a system that we're now calling Bugwood Maps to kind of take all the data from EdMaps and display it, not only display it on our systems, but allow any other user out there to generate a county level or a state level map for something they're interested in. Currently, those maps are available dynamically, which allow you to zoom in, click, and move around on the map to view the data a little more clearly. And they're also available through static maps that load the dynamic version and then takes a screenshot of it, which is available for linking on the sites. So depending on the user's need, we provided those to them. Soon we'll have a map listing service, which will actually allow other people to get a list of maps that are available, so they don't have to talk to us beforehand to know what material they can have access to. I'll briefly mention 3 other projects that we currently have going on. That with the apps we've developed here, we currently have 16 apps that are available on both Android and smartphone. They're available at apps.bugwood.org. A large number of them are based on reporting species plus a field guide worked into them. Other ones are just a field guide. We also have an additional 5 apps in development, including Veg Doctor, Guide to Vegetable Diseases in Georgia, Push IPM, which is going to be involving high consequence pests, with push alerts to your phone for alerts about those. I'll answer some of the question. On the maps, can they be used for any project, by Michael Bledsoe? Yes. If right now someone has to contact me so I can tell them what maps are available and how to access it, once I get the map listing service up and available, anybody could hit that service, ask for a certain species, what maps are available, and then pick which maps they want to display. I'm hoping to have that up maybe by the end of the year. It depends on how some of the other projects around here go. It's more a matter of time than technical difficulty. depending on what's needed for the maps, we've actually done some work to make them a little more interactive, so that when you click on a county, you actually get to see all the reports that pertain to that county. In other cases, we've actually made it that you click on the county and a graph comes up showing you the distribution of the data in that county, maybe the counts that were received or other things like that, based on what data has been entered in. So there's some customization that can be done to make that happen. Right now, a lot of it's because we haven't had a wide number of people asking for it, I don't have a whole lot of experience with deploying on other people's systems, but internally here we're using those maps so that we don't have to worry about having sections of code all over the place to do the same thing. We have one place where we call maps, and internally it's been working quite well.
Click on one of those. Okay.
So that was my, the previous slide just had a bit of information. It'll be in the PowerPoint that will be available. It just had some stats that I was reading off to you about what we currently have. The remaining 3 here, Bugwood apps, I mentioned there are 16 apps available. We do it both on Android and iOS, so that regardless of what device somebody has, it works out pretty well. They all report back into the same systems, and those reports get sent on to verifiers, especially when we're talking about something like brown marmorated stink bug or kudzu bug, that we really want to know that the information is correct. The other projects, Bugwood Video, is something we started up as part of an AFRI project. It's slowly coming up and being available. We currently have 614 videos up, and now that we had videos, we actually developed a navigation for it. We're doing some revision on the back end of it, but it's coming along well for sharing video that anyone's allowed to use as long as they cite the original sources. Bugwood Presents for presentation sharing is about to be released. Again, sharing PowerPoint presentations with people, putting anything up there that as long as they cite the original sources, everything that's there is available for use. There's a whole lot more we're hoping to do in the future, and if anyone in the advisory council wants to pass this on to other people or has needs that they want me to look at, we're happy to do it, to actually provide service or just provide advice, let you know who's working on what, and try to prevent people from reinventing the wheel if there's a way out there that already works and could work for
time around. Bottom line to me, for everyone, for advice for the FITT is there's this kind of underlying infrastructure-y kind of thing with IT. If you've got any of these types of things or related ideas, and then to overlay onto an IPM program, give Joe a call. Part of what we sold ourselves was there's not adequate, foundational support for all of the programs across the region, and we'll try to fill a little part of that niche and do the best we can. And as you can see from what Joe's been saying, they can do some pretty amazing things.